Were you enlisted or were you drafted?
I was drafted.
You were drafted.
Yeah.
And how old were you when you were drafted?
19.
19?
1969. They were still doing the draft back then.
Okay. How did you feel about being drafted?
Scared.
Scared.
Yeah.
Yeah, 19? Yeah, be pulled out of it. What was it like when you first went in, and what was the whole experience like for you as far as having to do this at the age of 19?
Well, it's the first time I'd ever really been away from home.
Mm-hmm.
And I got on the bus down at the induction station in New Haven. And I mean, honestly, I cried like a baby when I
When you left there, where did you go for boot camp?
Fort Dix, New Jersey.
Okay.
Yep.
And how long were you there?
Boot camp then was 8 weeks.
And after there?
And after there, I signed up for a 2-week leadership school, which was really nice because when you go into the Army, they give you a battery of tests to see what you're qualified to do. So they qualified me as a truck driver, a combat engineer, or a radio operator. Because I had like a 1 marking period in high school of electronics. So I chose to be a radio operator. So from there, I moved to some other barracks within Fort Dix, and I had to learn, back in those days, you had to learn how to do radio Morse code.
Oh, okay.
So that lasted for about 4 weeks, and once you get to a certain rate of with Morse code, you pass through that club for a non-commissioned officers school at Fort Gordon. And they tell you when you sign up for this, you're going to go to Vietnam. That's where all the graduates end up going.
Okay.
But my plan in the service was I wanted to make as much rank as quickly as I could. So that was the plan.
That was only to do it for you.
So that school was another 8 weeks. And from there on, I went to Fort Bragg, North Carolina for some on-the-job training for a month. And from there, came home for a month on leave, and then went to Vietnam in May of 1970.
Okay.
So.
Where did you end up in Vietnam?
I was with an armored unit called the 11th Armored Cavalry, and they were when I went over there. Actually, there was a big incursion into Cambodia because the North Vietnamese it was right along what they call the Ho Chi Minh Trail, and that was the big supply line. So where they were was kind of at tail end of it. So their plan was to go in there and just break up all these base camps that they had built. And so we were there for I was there for about 2 weeks and contracted malaria. That was the worst part.
Right, I remember you saying this.
Yeah, I never had to shoot at anybody, never got shot at my base, and they shipped me right back. My unit was still in Cambodia, and they shipped me back over there, but we only stayed there like another 3 or 4 days, and we pulled out and came to an area probably maybe about 50 or 60 miles north of Saigon, where we stayed. We stayed there for we were there for about 3 or 4 months, and I had a good friend of mine get killed there. He was what they call the sergeant major. He was the highest ranking non-commissioned officer for our unit, our squadron commander, and they were up in a helicopter, and they got down too close to the ground. They had suspected they saw some enemy activity, and they saw a couple of people. And by then, this is 1970. There were no Viet Cong left. They had all been killed off, and but there was a few of them around still. And they spotted 2 people on the ground, but they didn't. There was another hidden in the bushes, and he shot up the helicopter. My friend Sergeant Bowen got shot, took a bullet right under his chin and just blew his head off.
So did you see any combat?
No. No, I was a radio operator.
Mm-hmm.
My primary job was, they had these special vehicles with,
Mm-hmm.
with just with just a bank of radios. So my job was to sit and listen all day.
Mm-hmm.
So I never had to go out into the front lines.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a very important
Yes.
job, though.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
Extremely important.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What was your most memorable experience?
The camaraderie that you develop within the service. I mean, I think especially with that NCO school that I went to. Yeah, we were all got to be pretty tight, and I think that was probably my best time in the Army. And actually, you know, in Vietnam, I had it pretty good. I mean, I'll never forget. We used to sleep in 10-man tents, and we'd sleep on cots.
Yep.
And I got tired of sleeping on a hard cot, so then we had come back in for what they call a stand down. That you come into the base camp for about a month, and you do all the repairs on your vehicles, and we go back out. So the night before we went out, back in the base camp, you have like bunk beds with mattresses. So I went the night before. I stole a mattress and some sheets and put it in our trailer. And so when we got out I slept on a mattress for about 4 months.
Oh, that's not bad. That it wasn't just that night.
Yeah, no, I kept it. You know, because we were in this. We went out to a new area and built a new base camp, and we were there for the rest of my tour. And I came home in January of 1971. Because back in those days, they were President Nixon was starting to bring troops home.
Right.
And they had a program going. If you got accepted to a college, you could get out up to three months early.
Okay.
So I did that. I jumped on that, and so I come home. I got home like around the 10th of January, and a week later, I'm in school.
Oh wow! Where did you go to school?
It was back then. It was called South Central Community College, which is now Gateway. Yeah.
Okay.
And we had classes at Wilbur Cross High School.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what did you take up when you went to school?
I was just doing general ed. Yeah, because I was trying to get some use out of my GI Bill.
Right. I was going to say you use the GI Bill to do that, which is good.
Yeah.
That's a good thing to do.
So I used that for a couple of years. I didn't get all of it, but.
Okay. And what did you do after that? So what did you do for work?
I was actually when I got out of the service. I was a security guard for a while, and there was a tire factory out in West Haven. I can't remember the name of it, but I worked there for a while. I worked at night, I worked graveyard shift, so it was good for me because I could do my homework.
Yeah.
So I did that for a while, and then I ended up getting a job as a lab technician at this little chemistry lab in North Haven.
Oh.
And I worked there for about 3 years and got transferred to Houston, Texas. And then I ended up going to work for a maintenance contractor for Monsanto in this little, it wasn't that little. The plant was beautiful. It was right on the Galveston Bay. Yeah, and so I worked there. I worked there for 4 years, and then back then, oil was booming back in the mid '80s, and then of course towards the end it went bust, and they were just laying people off. So I chose to. I probably could have kept my job, but I chose to take the layoff. And so from there, again, there wasn't a whole lot of work. I ended up losing my house and moved back. I had to move back here to Connecticut because I'm from Connecticut originally. And I moved to Middletown, and I've been here 30 years now.
How do you think this experience impacted on you? The whole experience of being in the service?
It taught me discipline. Yeah. You had to. It taught you how to just. What's the word I'm thinking of? You had to learn to be orderly. You had to learn how to put things in focus.
Mm-hmm.
You had to prioritize. I think one of the other things I took away from is some of the stupidity in the military. Just the, especially within the junior officers, they're all vying for attention. They're all vying for rank. You know, because you could make rank in Vietnam. You could make rank very, very quickly, especially in the officer corps.